Idaho's near-total abortion ban has already made it to the U.S. Supreme Court. However, back in June, the justices, rather than deciding the case laid out in the joint lawsuit Moyle v. the United States and Idaho versus the United States, they in essence dismissed it. In a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court temporarily allowed Idaho doctors to perform abortions in medical emergencies as guaranteed by the Federal Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. This lawsuit was first filed just before Idaho's trigger law went into effect in August of 2022. Saying they took up the case too soon, SCOTUS sent it back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, who took it back up today in Pasadena. And Aspen Shumpert was there, or listened in, I should say, to what they were talking about in court today.
Yeah, and I think it's important first to talk about the injunction that is in place while this case is moving through the courts. It was first filed by a federal judge and upheld by the Supreme Court, meaning Idaho's abortion ban could not be enforced while the lawsuit went through the courts. And as this case was moved through the courts, the injunction has been lifted and reinstated a few times. But in place right now, today, we heard oral arguments from both sides of this case. But we also heard from Amicus, which is the healthcare system that St. Luke's here in Idaho uses. Lindsay Harrison with Amicus shared what it was like in Idaho when that injunction was lifted.
When the injunction was stayed for a matter of months, St. Luke's was put in the position of having to airlift 6 patients to neighboring states so that they would have the full range of stabilizing medical care available to them. And if the injunction were vacated, we would be returned to that state. And I can tell you from having spoken with doctors in Idaho that it is a horrible situation to put them in.
Catherine Carroll, who is representing the U.S. Justice Department, says Idaho's abortion law possesses a conflict with federal law. She gives the example that there are some pregnancy-related emergencies where the only treatment to stabilize the condition is to terminate the pregnancy. EMTALA requires the treatment that could include termination where Idaho law prohibits it, unless the doctor can provide with medical judgment that providing the treatment prevents a woman's death. On the other side, while defending Idaho's abortion ban, Taylor Meehan with Idaho's legislature was asked about that very question that doctors have to answer.
In a physician's good faith opinion, the woman, unless she has an abortion, is going to lose a leg. I asked your friend whether that would be a violation of Section 622. If I understood correctly, he said, yes, it would be. So here you have a physician who's going to lose his or her license if they treat the person. The woman may lose her leg otherwise. You don't think that's in conflict with the purposes of EMTALA and a natural reading of it?
I don't, Your Honor. So first, a legal point, which is that while a hypothetical could show a hypothetical conflict or a possible speculative conflict, that's not sufficient for the preliminary injunction.
So although we didn't hear any decisions for this case today, we're going to continue to watch for updates or any movement on it.
Okay, there's a possibility this could go down back to, I guess, what would be called step 1, a district court, or is it going to stay? Are they going to offer a ruling and then obviously it'll go right back to the Supreme Court? How's this going to play
There's
out?
a chance it could go back down. That actually was discussed in the first 2 minutes of today, where Judge Smith was asking the attorney who's representing Idaho, you know, you're saying some arguments we didn't hear in district court. And so there's some arguments there that it might get sent back down, so we'll have to watch for that.
Okay. But bottom line is that temporary injunction remains in place.
For right now.
For right now, while it works its way through the courts.
Yep.
And that could be years, as far as we know, how this plays out. All right, thank you very much, Aspen.